Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and today's video is going to be looking at my latest purchase. This is Zelda Links Awakening DX for the Game Boy Advance. Now, I've never been a Zelda fan. I've been a Nintendo fan for about 30 years. Zelda has never interested me until recently, and I thought I'm going to sort of start with an easy one. So I looked at Zelda Links Awakening, which is a Game Boy game. And I thought, no, I quite fancy a colour game. So they re-released Link's Awakening for the Game Boy Color. It was called Link's Awakening DX, which is what this says on here. And it was in colour. It was the same game with a few additions on it. But they never released it for the Game Boy Advance. So what is this? This is obviously some kind of bootleg cartridge. And I know that for a number of reasons. One, it costs me £5 from AliExpress. That's always a good sign that it's a bootleg. And it was never released on the Game Boy Advance, so that's another pointer that it's a bootleg. And if you were to look for the original game on the Game Boy, you're looking between £50 and £100. And if you're looking for the DX version on the Game Boy Color, then it's, well, you're not looking too far off that. It's a little bit cheaper than the original Game Boy game. So, what is this? This is Zelda Links Awakening DX for the Game Boy Advance. So, as I said, it's obviously some sort of bootleg cartridge. It looks pretty decent. It's got a genuine Game Boy Advance cartridge on it, or casing on the cartridge at least. The label looks pretty decent. It almost looks legit. So, does it play? So, I'll pop it in my Game Boy Advance SP and see what happens. So, there you can see there, it is exactly as it should be on the Game Boy Color. So that is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. Obviously the Game Boy Advance has got a wider screen to the colour. So on this there is a border around the screen. It looks like some kind of world map image. But it works perfectly. And you've obviously got the bonus of it being on a lit screen on the Game Boy Advance SP. This is the AGS 001 model, so it's the front lit one. I think it would look amazing on an AGS 101. But as you can see, that is Link's Awakening DX on a Game Boy Advance, on a Game Boy Advance cartridge. So it is obviously not legit, but it plays absolutely fine. Now, one thing I did discover, because I have popped this in this Game Boy before, so I popped it in earlier. If you press both the shoulder buttons, it brings up a menu. I'm not sure if you can quite see that. Oh, there we go. So it's got a few different options. So you've got display, which apparently you can change the color palette, and you can change all sorts. If you look for some of the other options, so you've got other settings. Go get your frames per second. We can turn that on. How do we turn it on? Oh, there. Frames per second, so we can, I don't know how to get the option to go across. Oh, press the A button. Would help if I was on the right menu option. So there you go, you got your frames per second meter, auto sleep, swap A and B if you wanted to, so you could swap these over. I'm not gonna change any more settings because I don't exactly know what they do. But there's plenty of options in there. But the thing that really got me is the save state and load state. So this puts me in mind of that it's kind of emulated on this cartridge, because you don't get these on regular Zelda. So you've got save state, new, there we go, and then you can just load that back up again if need be, which you get on a lot of emulated ROMs, consoles. So other than that, I don't really know what there is, and it says here GameBoy Color 12-14-14 on Game Boy Advance by Flubber and Dweedit. So that puts me in mind that this is some kind of emulated cartridge. Normally on emulations or emulators, if you press the shoulder button, it will skip through it will speed up so you can skip through cutscenes. It doesn't seem to do that on this. Obviously these two buttons wouldn't be there on a Game Boy Color. I have very little experience of Zelda, so if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, it's probably because I don't. So there we go, look. It works absolutely perfectly. Oh no, I haven't done something. But if we bring the menu up and we do save state, you've got multiple save states by the looks of it, but I'm going to save over the old one. And then I move around in this little room. So he's now up the corner there. If I bring the menu back up and do load state, and load that one up, it puts him back to where he was. So it's kind of cheating, but it's great for the older style of game. So as you can see, this is fully working Zelda Links Awakening DX, but it's available on this Game Boy Advance cartridge. Like I said, I paid about £5 for this from AliExpress. It was estimated at about 6 weeks delivery, but it did arrive in 2 weeks, so I was quite pleased by that. And it's perfectly playable. It's a much better way to play it because you've obviously got the lit screen on the Game Boy Advance. I'm slightly tempted to open it. I'm just going to go and grab my tri-wing screwdriver and have a look and see what it looks like on the inside. So before I do that, the one thing I did notice is that although it looks like it's a genuine Game Boy Advance shell or cartridge shell, it doesn't look like it's fantastically put together. There's a bit of a gap there. But anyway, let's open up the cartridge. So you grab your tri-wing and undo the screw, and let's have a look. Now, I think they just pull apart. I don't think they slide. Oh no, they do slide. There we go. So you slide it down and take it out, and that is what is inside. You got your battery and your chip there. I kind of expected this to be some kind of mini flash cart with an SD inside, but it isn't. So you just put it back together and slide it up and pop your tri-wing screw back in. So that looks like there's a battery in there. I'm assuming that's for the save states, etc. And well, there isn't really much more I can say. This is a bootleg copy of The Legend of Zelda Links Awakening DX. A very good bootleg. So if you're looking for a copy of it and you don't want to pay the ridiculous prices that you get on original Game Boy or Game Boy Color, you can pick these up for about £5. I did notice that they do other games, or other Zelda games at least, and for £5 I think that's quite a good purchase. Decent game. I got a little far into it. I'm not too bad with Zelda. It's not my ideal type of game, but I thought I would give it a try out. So that's Zelda Links Awakening DX on a Game Boy Advance cartridge for £5. It works perfectly, and you do get the bonus of the save states. So let me know what you think. Have you got one of these, or have you got other Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges on a Game Boy Advance cartridge? Or have you got this one? Let me know what you think of it. Like, subscribe, enjoy.